Hello everyone, my name is Moji. You're watching a Bitcoin Bubble news channel. Who else is on this chat besides Bitcoiners like me, Michael Saylor, and Bill Miller? I don't think it matters where the Bitcoin is bought. We don't mind if you buy it in an ETF or MicroStrategy shares and they buy Bitcoin. I believe that Bitcoin does not need the ETF. It doesn't need it. Bitcoin will reach $1 million no matter what the ETF does. Fred Krueger and Jim Bianco were recently interviewed on Math Money Bitcoin. They talked about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the Bitcoin ETF. Bitcoin is worth $1.57,000 right now. It has gone up 1% in the last 24 hours and down 4% over the last week. Krueger talks about what he thinks about the current state of the Bitcoin market, with a focus on how the Bitcoin ETF might affect things and how regulations work. He talks about how important spot Bitcoin ETFs are and how they might be able to draw institutional investors. Krueger also talks about the bigger effects on the crypto ecosystem, like what will happen with Ethereum and the future of decentralized banking. I will disagree with you though, because that's not how most people use ETH. Okay, I'll use this as a guide now. Have you ever looked at the numbers on the DApp radar? So, there are 24 hours. In the past 24 hours, 100,000 wallets have interacted with ETH. 100,000. That's all there is to it. That's it. Anyway, let's take a look at what these wallets do. Okay, so 30,000 of them are just going to Uniswap and selling tokens, but mostly with meme coins and other coins that are very risky. If you think about it, it's not really lending money or doing any of those other things. No, this is more of a guess based on strange things like coins and Shiba Inus. Okay, that's exactly what it does. Okay then. But that's not my point. My point is that you have 100,000 daily engaged. So, 50,000 people trade every day. That doesn't mean anything. Very little real work is being done in this. It's only a quote-to-unquote Bitcoin thing. The casino is a waste of time. Not much is being done. ETH has been saying that there is this huge community, but there isn't really one. And finally, what do you think are the best ETH apps? I understand what they are. Okay, so they're Uniswap, right? You can also trade NFTs on OpenSea. Okay, that's it. We stop there. Let's offer loans too. Let's just add Aave. Okay, those three are the only ones that matter. It sounds like noise. It doesn't matter. Okay, you've got loans. There are NFTs, DEX, and more. Okay, so those are all the things you have on ETH. Also, it's true that I've been tracking these numbers since 2017. Now, guess what? That number was 50, 60,000 every day in 2017. Okay, 70,000. The people in charge of Ethereum will say that most of that money in action has gone to Arbitrum and light layer 2s. And in some ways, they're right. Okay. I'd say Arbitrum is the best. Okay. That being said, my point is that that number is not important in terms of the number of real people. Let's look at this from the past. At least 100 million people own Bitcoin. Now, I know you've said this before, they're quiet, right? They're guys like me. They only buy Bitcoin and don't use it. Okay, as far as I know, I'm one of the only people in the Bitcoin community who always uses Bitcoin. Yes, I do. I use it for all of these things. I'm also very interested, and I know a lot about Bitcoin layer 2s, DeFi, and all of this other stuff. I know everything about it. Okay, and I also know everything there is to know about these plans, such as OPCAT, OPCTV, and so on. Okay, I can talk a lot about that, but it won't really change how many people use Bitcoin. Okay, because of this. Bitcoin is used for large purchases and always has been. Okay, if you look at the sizes of Bitcoin transfers from 2009 to 2013, you'll see that each one was between 10 and 100 Bitcoin. That's what it was. Okay, Bitcoin was worth about $1,000 at the end of 2013. Okay, so 10 Bitcoin was worth $10,000 at that point. Okay, in other words, each deal is worth tens of thousands of dollars. It has always been that way with Bitcoin. Now, from 2017 to 2020, that number dropped to an average of 1 Bitcoin per transaction. At this point, we're at about 1 Bitcoin per deal. Okay, Bitcoin isn't used because it's not used for games, DEX, or NFTs. Okay, thanks a lot. Just so you know, ordinals right now, in terms of the sheer number of transactions, it was once half of Bitcoin. Okay, at this point, it's only 6% cryptocurrency. Okay, a week ago, I looked at the numbers, which means it's only 6% of Bitcoin. Right now, the main reason to use Bitcoin is to say I have some money, I want the bank to take it away from me. I want to get it out of the money system. I'm going to park it for a while and then move it to a different spot. That's why Bitcoin is useful. Okay, let me explain this power law. There are two directions in this power law. Okay, when I plot Bitcoin on the vertical line, I use a logarithmic scale to show the price. Here it is. It's not just a log chart. It looks like a log. In the same way, the time is shown on a clock face. Okay, great. The green line here is a trend line. Okay, it's 96% likely that this trend line is true. That's fine. It has a R-squared of 96%. Huge jump from when Bitcoin was worth 10 cents to now, when it's worth about $100,000. Okay. And I can promise you that you will never see a chart like that with those kinds of numbers anywhere else. I have a PhD in math. Okay, also take a look at the red line. It's the support line, and it's about 1 standard deviation below the green line. It's tough to take your eyes off of this line, right? You could say it's just a model. It's a copy. This power law model is, it is what I can say. Kindly do not say that models are bad. You can say that this model is fine, but models aren't always fine. You use models what's even cooler is that you can get an R-squared with just time. Just that one thing. More and more people are using Bitcoin as a power of time. The number of people who buy Bitcoins over time shows that this is true. I'll get this for you. This little line on this screen shows the number of people who have 1 Bitcoin over time, shown in log space. It's linked to time 98% of the time. What does that mean? It means that more and more people are buying Bitcoin over time. Bitcoin is being bought in both good and bad markets. We now know that it's not just a model that doesn't make sense. We just noticed that, we're keeping an eye on fruit flies and we've seen this link between them and the price of Bitcoin. We know for sure that people are buying Bitcoin, so no, I could now do 1 Bitcoin, $1,000, $100, or 10 Bitcoin. All of these are things I can do. I all get these power outages. Okay, so it's clear that Bitcoin is being used more and more. Now here's the deal. We're not going to shut down Larry Fung's business. That's why we're not going to shut him down. We're not going to shut him down because of custodial wallets. Do you use a multi-sig custodial wallet? Now let me tell you something, if you use a single sig wallet, you are opening yourself up to problem. In this case, I will tell you right away that you are asking for trouble. Let me explain. Multi-sig methods are what I use. Okay, I'll give you a little plug. Casa is what I use. That's one way to solve the problem. There are really only 2 great ways to use Bitcoin. Casa and Unchained Capital are 2 of them. Also, Unchained is great, okay, but you'll have to use more than one hardware wallet in more than one place. Just take a look at Unchained Capital. There's about $8 billion in their bank account. They have $8 billion, which isn't a huge amount. Okay, there are more. If you're going to put, say, $1 million in a non-custodial wallet, you should use a multi-sig solution. If someone gets your seed word, you're done. I agree with everything you said. It's not possible for me to show up at Jim Bianco's house with a wrench and say, "Oh yeah, Jim, may I have your can? I have your can. I have your letter.